We'll now recognize the gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Meijer, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to our witnesses who are here today. I think something that has come up in a lot of the questions and testimonies that public trust and confidence in our elections is essential. And I think what we also saw in the 2020 election that hinges strongly on having quick and accurate results. The longer it takes for results to be reported, the more time that is spent on that count. It allows the room for doubt, disinformation, and conspiracy theories to multiply that then further degrades public faith in our elections. Secretary LaRose, there are several steps that states can take to make sure those election results are reported quickly and accurately, including the pre-processing of absentee ballots, encouraging early in-person voting if someone is not present to vote in person on election day. Can you describe what steps Ohio has taken to make sure that your election results can be reported as quickly and accurately as possible? And are there other actions that you have taken to improve the timeliness and accuracy of election results?
Yeah, Congressman, thank you for the question. I wrote a mission statement on my Chief of Staff's dry erase summer of 2020, and I said when Ohioans go to bed on election night, they will know and they will believe the results of the 2020 presidential election. We accomplished both of those missions. It's about logistics and preparation. It's about making sure that you have the procedures in place to quickly tabulate, but to never sacrifice accuracy for speed. That's the balance that we've struck here in Ohio. And one of the reasons why we were able to report our results on election night is that we process our absentee ballots ahead of time. I know your state doesn't do that. Candidly, it's something that you all should look at because we don't count ballots until the polls are closed on election night, but we do process them ahead of time. We check the identification. Heck, even taking them out of their envelopes and flattening them out so they're ready to go through the scanner. That's a process that takes a while. And those are the kind of things that we do in Ohio to make sure that we can deliver those results on election night. Also, again, that decentralized nature of how this is done. It's done at 88 different county boards of elections, and making sure that they have the tools necessary to get that job done has been one of our top priorities.
I think the phrase in the Army for that would be slow is steady, smooth is fast. Did you
Very good. Yes, sir.
Did you have any issues establishing and implementing those processes? And as you look to other states and as you travel around, you talk to other secretaries of state, are other states well equipped or well suited to adopt similar best practices, or are there resource constraints along these lines that may require federal support?
The thing is, if you've seen the way one state runs elections, then you've seen the way one state runs elections, right? They're all different. And so a lot of those would require changes at the state level, but now is the time to do that well in advance of the next presidential election. And so if your state has laws that prevent the boards of elections from being able to process absentee ballots and get them ready to go and count them immediately as soon as the polls close, then that's something that you should look at. As far as constraints on resources, some of this stuff isn't expensive. I'll give you an example. In 2020, we directed our county boards of elections to consider spending some of their HAVA money or CARES Act money on a simple $1,000 machine that cuts open envelopes. Our rural boards have been using the old slicer to cut it open. Just a process improvement like a $1,000 envelope slicing machine can be a big improvement. But yes, federal support is important, and we've used it well here in Ohio.
And one last thing, when we were going into the 2020 elections in Michigan, and obviously with a large number of absentee ballots, there was I'm not tracking how other states were dealing with this at the judicial level, but we temporarily had a judicial opinion that ballots could be received after the time polls closed, so long as they were postmarked, by the date of the election. Now, we've seen similar processes like that in California, in New York. We have colleagues here in the House who had to wait several months in order to learn whether or not they had won or lost their primary in some elections, or general election as well. Can you speak to just what you have seen I guess if you could just remark on that. I know I have 30 seconds left, so we'd just love your quick thoughts.
Some of the worst things that happen in elections administration happen as a result of crisis opportunism at a court. The things that go wrong in elections generally aren't some sort of cloak and dagger secretive operation. It happens in the plain light of day in a courtroom, and those kind of last minute decisions are very problematic. Election law should be made at the State House, never at the courthouse.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.